Good morning. My name is Ridha from Indonesia, and today I will be presenting my research called The Effect of Subscription Discounted Price Moderated by CSR Investment on the Right Issue Performance as Evidence from Banking Companies in Indonesia. First, let's start with the introduction. As a response to the negative impact of COVID-19 on the company's financial performance, a lot of companies executed various corporate actions in order to sustain. In 2021 alone, there were more than 40 right issue actions with a total emission value of almost 200 trillion. Out of all those 44 right issue actions, banking companies dominated the market. There are a number of reasons why banks conduct right issue. For large and well-established banks, they want to use the proceeds from the right issue as a way to expand their business and widening their credit distribution, while the mini banks, they want to use the proceeds as an intention to meet the minimum core capital requirements set by OJK. Among those right issues, the right issues conducted by Bank Rakyat Indonesia achieved a new record and became the top 7 largest right issue worldwide. But how can this happen? First, subscription discount price might have been one factor influencing the success of right issue. With a discount of approximately 2.5%, this could be one of the reasons why BRIs lead to success. However, there might be other reasons that contributed to the success. At the first announcement, it was stated that the funds raised from this right issue will be earmarked for the development of ultra-micro BUMN holding that will be contributing to the concept of development based on ESG. To put it simply, it was BRI's motives and concern for community development and sustainability that are seen and appreciated by investors. But again, why? First, investors have primarily shifted to also consider non-financial investment when making investment decision, in which CSR is the key component. Two, by engaging in CSR initiatives, corporations can transmit a positive signal to investors. Three, better CSR management attracts and motivates stakeholders to invest in the business. Reflecting from the successful performance of Barry's right issue, the author was intrigued in finding out the impact of banking firms' engagement in CSR towards the performance of right issue itself. The author sought to demonstrate whether CSR engagement can really positively strengthen the relationship between subscription discounted price and the performance of right issue, or whether this occurs only for BRI. Now, considering the fact that a lot of banking companies are going to conduct right issue in 2022 as well, this topic became important to be addressed. Thus, I propose the following research questions. First, does subscription discounted price affect the performance of banking companies' right issues in Indonesia? And two, does CSR investment moderate the relationship between subscription discounted price and the performance of banking companies' right issues in Indonesia? The scope and limitation for this research will be geographically limited to Indonesia within 2016 until 2022. Let's move on to the hypothesis development. First, previous research has shown that subscription discounted price has positively affect the performance of right issue. The greater the subscription price discount, the better the right issue performs. As a result, it is possible to conclude that there is a positive relationship between subscription discounted price and the performance of right issue. Higher subscription discount price yielded a higher probability of having successful right issue and better stock price performance. Hence, the first proposed hypothesis will be as follows. Next, linking this with the signaling theory, investors typically view the announcement of the right issue as a negative news. However, when asymmetric information prevails, companies can use basic information to give positive signals and correct stock prices. A company's investment in CSR can be disclosed as information to give a positive signal to investors. In result, negative fractions for equity offering announcement can be significantly lessened for firms with better CSR performance. The authors provide 3 possible explanations for why CSR disclosures can be utilized to signal positive news. First, it can increase investors' desire to invest. Secondly, it can decrease information asymmetries. And last but not least, it can boost investor manager trust. Previous research in the context of right issue has also shown a positive association between CSR performance and the right issue performance. Thus, the following second hypotheses are proposed. And this is the conceptual framework of this research. Let's move on to the chapter 3. The data collected was a secondary data with a purposive sampling method. The sample characteristics are banking firms that conducted right issue events within January 2016 until March 2022, and they should disclose their CSR activities on their annual report. In total, there are 52 samples of banking companies that conducted right issue. The dependent variable in this study will be the performance of right issue, which will be measured by using two indicators, namely the success of the right issue itself and the stock price performance measured by the abnormal return around the right issue announcement. The independent variable in the study will be the subscription discounted price, which is measured by the percentage of the average market price 1 week prior to the offering date. And the moderating variable of this research will be the CSR investment or CSR expense of each firm that will be taken from the previous year's annual report. The study will also employ several firms' characteristics such as control variables, which are leverage, firm age, firm size, issue size, and profitability. As a way to analyze the data, we will be using a binary logistic regression model as the statistical model. This is a model in which the response or dependent variable has just two values, which are 0 and 1. This is the regression model equations for the two dependent variables. The prediction of the success of rights offering is a choice of either 1 successful or 0 unsuccessful, while for the prediction for the abnormal return around the right issue announcement are a choice of either 1 positive or 0 negative. The odds ratio will be useful in interpreting the binary logistic regression coefficient. To summarize, an odds ratio larger than 1 indicates a positive link, while ratio less than 1 indicates a negative association. In logistic regression, there is no assumption test needed since it is a nonlinear model. However, the g-test and wald test can be used to determine the significance of each independent variable, and the goodness of fit test can be used to confirm that the actual data fits the model. This is the descriptive statistics of the research. This is the distribution of samples by year. Overall, the distribution is random with the highest peak in 2021. And this is the descriptive statistics of the research sample. And this is the frequency of dependent variable. Let's move on to the result of the first dependent variable, which is the success of rights offering. After processing the data in the SPSS, we get the following results. Only subscription discount price and firm's age have a significant effect on the success of rights offering. CSR investment as a moderator and other variables have no significant influence on the first dependent variable as it has a p-value above 5%. Based on the odds ratio, it can be interpreted that for every 1% increase in the discount price, the tendency for the occurrence of a successful right issue to happen will increase by 1.044 times. Meanwhile, for every 1 year increase in the firm's age, a successful right issue is less likely to happen as much as 0.039 times, or it can be concluded that there is a negative relationship. For the second dependent variable, we get that subscription discount price and firm's profitability have a significant effect on the abnormal return. Meanwhile, other variables have no significant effect. It can be interpreted that for every 1% increase in the discount price, the tendency for the occurrence of a positive abnormal return around the rights offering announcement will increase by 1.035 times. Similarly, for every 1% increase in the return on asset, the tendency for the occurrence of a positive abnormal return will increase by 1.575 times. It could be concluded that there is a positive linkage between the subscription discounted price and the successful performance of the right issue, which means that our first hypothesis is accepted. However, older firms have a higher likelihood to face an unsuccessful right offering, and firms with high profitability pose a greater chance to be perceived favorably by investors and generate a positive abnormal return around the rights issue announcement. However, the study failed to prove the second hypothesis due to the insignificant results. Why did this happen? These insignificant findings may be attributable to the fact that each corporation have different motives in conducting CSR, and that different motives exhibit different perception from investors, hence different impacts. Also, the findings may not be align with other empirical research from other countries since the level of investors' concern and awareness toward sustainability and social responsibility may differ from other countries. Let's move on to the last part, which is the conclusion. After executing the research, we can now answer the research questions that have been determined in the first chapter. From this finding, here are some recommendations for banking firms, financial managers that want to conduct right issue in the future. First, it is necessary to set the subscription price at a discount to ensure a successful right issue. Two, it would be advised to set it way below the market price, especially if the firm's stock has a history of a huge volatility. Third, three, the greater the discount given, the more shares must be issued to raise a given amount of money. Four, banks should maintain a good profitability rate because the market will react more favorably to firms with higher profitability rate. Last but not least, in order to appeal to shareholders, older firms should signal that they also still have good growth prospects while also keeping on innovating so as not to lose competitiveness in the industry. Considering the imperfectness of this research, here are some multiple suggestions for future study that could improve the current research. Hopefully, future research will yield another successful, distinct perspective that can enrich the current literature and be beneficial for future business practitioners to implement. That marks the end of my presentations. Thank you for your time and attention.